All right, welcome to the Random Topic Podcast. It is Molotov, just also known as just some YouTuber. I'm here with my friend Synth. You say hi?
No, I'm not going to say hi, in fact.
All right, he's not gonna say hi. So the topic of this podcast, like I said in the last podcast, is I'm just gonna be interviewing my friend, who is a furry, and I have a few questions for him, and he is gonna answer them in his own opinion. Some questions will be specific towards him, and some other questions will be towards the furry community in general. And keep in mind that this is his opinion, and he does not represent every single furry in the community. So the first question for you is, why are you a furry?
I was going through a tough time in my life, and I resorted to art as a coping mechanism. So I eventually came across furry art, which I didn't know that was furry art at the time, and was following that community for a while, and eventually found out the people who made those identified themselves as furries, and eventually that's how I started getting into the community more and more, and kind of just fell into a sinkhole of this.
Would you consider yourself an active member of the community?
I kind of lurk around the community, but a lot of other people do as well, so it's not too uncommon.
Okay. So why do you see yourself as your fursona?
I see myself as my fursona because, I guess it's someone that I can see myself accepting, someone that I would be a lot more interested in, not as a relationship-wise, but more interesting.
And for people who don't know, a fursona is a character created by a furry that they picture themselves as an anthropomorphic character. Sorry, go ahead.
And just a change in general of who I would be.
Okay. Why do you think that going through that hard part of your life made you create that specific design for your fursona?
When I was going through the hard time in my life, I kind of grew out my hair and eventually learned that it was something that I used to hide behind a lot of the time, which I have it cut now, but then I didn't, so it was super long, and I eventually had my character with a neck tuft that kind of just got bigger as time, went on, which is why my fursona is kind of just a huge puffball now.
Okay.
And, it's that tough time just constantly made me grow out my hair, which caused me to have my fursona of puffball and be a sensitive cuck. So that's basically it.
Right.
As I said, the coping mechanism with art is the primary reason why I kind of got into the furry community in the first place.
So the furry community, you'd say, is very artistic?
Very.
Okay. So what do you think in general of the furry community? Your opinion?
I think that they're very welcoming and warm-hearted. They would normally accept many people into their community, maybe a few exceptions. Nazi furs.
Oh, Nazi furries? Do you want to talk about that?
No, in fact, I don't, because politics are not my thing.
All right.
And it's the majority of the community kind of persist of LGBTQ members, which kind of adds over to the atmosphere of it. But, I mean, they're overall pretty accepting, and kind of most of the time, such as like the gamer and furry war meme, they kind of hopped onto the train of that, which eventually turned out to be one of the better ideas. because in my opinion, I think that if they weren't that accepting of what was happening, I think something would have gone wrong, and eventually kind of a whole situation that would have spiraled out of control. But
so they kind of took jokes against them and kind of were lighthearted about it and kind of jumped in on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In your opinion, how would you describe the kind of general atmosphere and attitudes of other furries that you've met, or just in general?
Just like the last question, they're very warm-hearted and welcoming. They're energetic. They can definitely be. There's some times where, it just really depends on the mood. Furcons, DMs, in person. Depends on who you're talking with, but as a community as a whole, I think it would mainly persist of, pretty energetic people and pretty optimistic.
And they're pretty, passionate about what they do, right?
They're very proud of what they do, yes.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Do you see any divides or internal conflicts in the community where a certain portion agrees with something and the other portion kind of says, I think it should be this way?
I mean, I guess sometimes, but it's only temporarily. It's most of the time resolved relatively quickly. Primarily contains small topics such as music or any type of art styles or people in general. So just small arguments like that.
Okay. So nothing really major, just kind of small stuff.
Yeah.
So together, the furry community is really strong with each other. Okay.
I guess you could say that.
So, how long have you thought of yourself as a furry, and when did you, quote unquote, come out as one?
I've thought of myself as one for about 3.5 years. But around maybe a year ago, I've started telling people, and everyone has seemed to be pretty chill about it, which is one of my favorite things about it. So
you kind of consider yourself as kind of like a relatively new furry, like a new generation furry?
I guess so, yeah.
So here's just kind of just a broad, just general question for you. So 10 years from now, how do you think the community, like the furry community, would have changed at all? Or do you think they'll still be accepting? Or do you think it will even be still around? Do you think furries will still even be a thing 10 years from now?
I definitely think that they will. That's for a fact. But I don't think they'll change too much, other than maybe a few common laws that may be passed in different countries. That may be changing a few things, such as the Germany thing has gone around pretty not too long ago.
What's the Germany thing?
It's like a whole controversial thing where motherfucking a convention in Germany was giving out badges that said Nazi furs fuck off, which is a whole controversial thing for quite a while, and I'm pretty sure it still is. But I think from what I've heard recently, they're illegal, but conventions and fursuits and stuff. But I haven't really fact checked that, and I haven't really looked into it too much.
So from what you've heard, furries are illegal in Germany?
Yes.
Huh. And what do you think about that? How does that make you feel?
I'm not too changed about it. People can still enjoy the art, but maybe not just put on fursuiters to go and accept themselves as one. It's a little nerve-wracking to know that they can't do what they would enjoy, but it's nothing that's in their power, and it's not that big of a deal. They can still enjoy themselves as they are. maybe not as efficiently or not as effectively, but you know.
Is there a certain person in the furry community that's really stuck out to you as someone that you really enjoy, like their artwork or whatever?
Here, let me get my phone out here. I would definitely have to say Sir Fluff,
Surf Love?
Majira Strawberry, a few others. Kibble, maybe one. I'm not too sure. Pymations.
Pymations?
Mango.
They're a
Yeah.
furry?
Yes, they are actually.
Whoa, I'm subscribed to them and I didn't even know that. Huh.
Aurora
Alright.
Bloom. Just those types.
Okay. Well, that's good, man. So, you know quite a few people and you follow their art and everything, so it's interesting. It's good to know.
Definitely.
Alright, man. Well, I think that concludes this episode and interview of the Random Topic Podcast.
Yeah, it definitely could have been longer, but we don't have too much. We kind of do these at the top of our heads.
Yeah. I like to keep it short and not drag on.